Welcome back to The Vocalist. I think today's going to be a fun one. Many of you have recommended I feature Joe Cocker on the channel, and during my search for a live performance, I stumbled upon this very exciting collaboration. So, today we are going to watch Joe Cocker and Luciano Pavarotti sing the song You Are So Beautiful. Here we go.
You are so beautiful. To me, you are so beautiful. To me, can't you see? You're everything I hope for. You're everything I need. You are so beautiful.
I'm stopping. This is such a great song. And it always reminds me of the remake of The Little Rascals because of, yeah, it just does. Alfalfa singing this to Darla. I loved that scene. Let's go back because I want to give them each their due. I don't know if they're gonna sing together or if it's just gonna be separate the whole time. I haven't seen a million performances of Joe Cocker, but what I do know is that the few that I've seen of this particular song, he kind of changes his interpretation each time, and his inflection on certain words might alter and shift, and I just think it's so beautiful because it reminds you that music is like, it's like a living thing, you know. It can change and it can morph and it can grow, and I don't know, I just think it's really beautiful, so we're gonna get into that. Also, I love this with the guitar.
You are so beautiful.
Like, it's an interesting choice to just sort of, it's not like he popped out the word R, but it had like, he didn't sing through it. And so getting off of that so quickly and then having this really gentle, breathy, warm tone for the rest of the phrase. If you just think about when you're saying you are so beautiful, he's singing through you because you is important. R is just kind of like, I have to use this word in order for a sentence to make sense. But then the way he continues with so beautiful, he's singing through those words, even though it's very light and very delicate.
To me,
Gorgeous head voice.
you are so beautiful. To me, can't you see?
Now, I know we're not getting all of the falsetto notes and everything. I don't know, I just love his voice so much. And of course, this is a live performance, of course. You know, I mean, he's older in this compared to a lot of some of the earlier recordings, but I think he just, I don't know. If I were to have seen this live, I would have thought, oh yeah, he still got it. Like, it's just so good, and yet maybe just even like that much better because of like what living a life does, to your interpretation of music and how it informs that. And I just think, I don't know. I'm trying to I'm trying to not just, I don't know, be enamored with like his artistry. Also vocally, and again, I know this is just such a small tiny snippet, but he's got this really pretty, there's like a slight covering in his voice, which is why I got really excited when I saw this collaboration, because obviously there's a lot of cover when you think of opera singers. But he's got this beautiful, rich, full tone, but it's also a little bluesy and a little smoky at times. I mean, depending on the song, and he just brings so much to what he sings. I love it. That's it.
You're everything I hope for. You're
Sorry. I promise we'll get through this. That is such a beautiful example of tactful texture. I don't know if I need to like hashtag that, but sometimes, and I get it, like as singers, like we all want to prove ourselves and our worth, and we want, people to like our music and etc., etc. But he had it the whole time, and he just saved it for that one moment, and I love it. Like making these very specific choices instead of maybe not being certain with your choices, and so just putting in everything you can do all the time. There are certainly moments for that, and it can be very impressive, but more often than not, it's just really, I think it's so beautiful when someone just knows what they can do and uses it so skillfully.
You're everything I hope for. You're everything I need. You are so beautiful to me.
La mia luce sei tu.
Such joy and happiness. You bring
Nei miei occhi ci sei tu. Sembra di più e il resto non esiste più.
you are so beautiful to me. Oh, to me.
Gosh, I have goosebumps. Oh my. I was like, oh, okay, maybe they're going back and forth. And then when they sang together, it was just so good. We're going back. We're going back. I think most of you know by now, my original early music education was in the classical scene. I love opera, and there's a reason this gentleman is considered one of the best tenors of all time or singers of all time. We don't even have to classify by vocal type. Okay, here we go.
La mia luce sei tu.
I mean, I will give credit where credit is due. As with all singers, genetics do play a part. However, what I learned about Pavarotti in my training, and especially when people would use him as an example and talk about his dedication to his craft, I am also very well aware that he worked so hard and he was so passionate about singing and just every aspect of performance. So everything I say from here on out, like I want that to be acknowledged because, when I watch him sing, his face is so relaxed. It is so neutral. You can see his tongue. It is just flat and pillowy and poofy. There isn't an ounce of tension in sight. His posture is gorgeous. I mean, so many beautiful things. And yes, some of that can be innate. We can have natural habits that aid us in our development as artists, but he put in the time and the energy and the dedication and the work and all the things to be the incredible singer that he was. So I always marvel when I watch him because there's a part of me, and I think it's like that with anything that we see oftentimes, especially in today's world, when we get to see the end result of so much on social media and we don't see all of the dedication that led up to it, all of the work, all of the sweat and tears that people put into whatever it might be. It doesn't have to even be music, but different projects that we all have in our lives. Oftentimes you only get to show off the final product. And so I have so much respect for what he did. I'll leave it at that for now. Here we go.
Such joy and happiness. You bring
Nei miei occhi ci sei tu, sempre di più, e il resto non esiste più.
you are
Okay. I know it's not like a lot of back and forth between the two of them, but I think this is just such a brilliant collaboration in that I don't feel either one is being overshadowed by the other, because I think they've set this up in a way that you can just enjoy and appreciate what each of them brings to the table individually. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. I think sometimes we see performances and our default is to compare or, get judgy about like, oh, they should have done this, or oh, they should have sung with this person. I don't know. I'm just enjoying so much of this and both of them equally. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Let me go back. You can kind of see the stillness in his body, like just the way not even stillness. I think sometimes singers, when they get done with a note, they kind of collapse and then they reattack. And he just keeps everything so poised. And it just, I mean, he's like this incredible column of sound. Like everything is just so, I mean, powerful is the word that's coming to mind. But like I said, poised, like everything is just so calm and collected. And he just stays in the pocket every time.
So beautiful.
I can't get over how gorgeous that duet is. And I feel like they did that perfectly. I love that Joe Cocker is taking the melody and the way that Pavarotti is just like, he's straight toning. He backed off the power a little bit. It doesn't have a completely contemporary sound, but it's like he, took his foot off the gas enough so that they could blend so beautifully. Let me get the beginning of that.
You are so beautiful to me.
I also loved that moment at the end because you could hear at that last falsetto note, Joe Cocker, he landed on it and then it started to fade out. As with, I mean, it could be a many number of things. I don't know what was happening with him vocally, but in falsetto, the chords are stretched and thin, so they naturally separate more. So it takes more effort to get them to close. But if you put too much press or too much air, then you get kind of that more strident sound that doesn't really match this particular song. So he landed on it, and then we kind of heard a stop in tone. I don't know if it had something to do with the mic, or in any case, that little moment where he was like, oh yeah, you've got it, and Pavarotti did it at the end, and I just love this collaboration so much. It was so short, but I loved every minute of it. Aside from just who they are as artists, I think one reason this duet is so special is each of them stayed true to their respective styles. Yes, they made some slight shifts and did some work with blending in order to create more unity for the piece as a whole, but neither one of them tried to, I don't know, be more like the other. And I don't know, for me, it's a beautiful thing to see because there is room in this world for so many different genres and styles of music, and I do think they can share the stage. And I've said this before, especially when you see covers of, someone from one genre covering a song from a completely different genre or an artist that seems nothing like them. That's how we are introduced to new music and songs, and if we all just kind of stayed in our own little boxes, what fun would that be? So yeah, I know I didn't talk very much about technique on this one. I think both are such phenomenal singers, artists, performers. And also it's a little intimidating. I used to watch so many different interviews or like master classes that Pavarotti would either be hosting or he'd be a part of, and just to listen, he was brilliant. He was so brilliant, and like a master technician, which comes as no surprise given what he sounds like and the span of his career. So I don't know, I think my default is always to just sort of sit back and listen because I admire him so much, and then combine that with the bluesy, warm, emotional performance that Joe Cocker gave. It's just, I didn't know this existed. This was a really pleasant surprise. So, to those of you who said, please feature Joe Cocker on the channel, thank you, because it got us here. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.